do the attendance, please, Linda?
Deputy Supervisor Becker,
Here.
Councilmember Courtney,
Here.
Councilmember Dysinger,
Here.
Supervisor Holdridge, and Councilmember Ardisana are absent.
Can we stand for the pledge, please?
Pledge
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll start out. Is there any public comment tonight on anything? We're going to do the public hearings next, but if there's any other public comment besides the public hearings?
Nobody on the public hearings.
Just a public hearing?
Just
Thank you. You want to speak, Cindy?
Well, first I wanted to find out, is there any, are you going to mow down Knapp View at all, the whole thing, or is that just gonna be left?
I don't know what the plan is on that right now. There was some discussion with the highway department earlier this year, and they had issues because it was too wet, and I'm not sure where that left off at this point.
Oh, okay. I mean, I understand that you can't mow it until August,
Yeah.
but, you know, it does take a little while to get somebody to do it, or highway or whatever.
No, we're doing it ourselves.
You're gonna do it yourselves?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Also, could the board give some explanation as to the process of how the Sugarloaf PAC would be processed to sell it for the county to
The
buy it?
procedure?
Yeah, because I've, one lady was gonna really argue with me that Steve Newhouse is saying that, indicating that it's sold, that they bought it. And when you
Still gotta
listen
go
to
through a
them.
process, Liz can speak to that further into the
I
meeting.
can speak, do you want me
Oh,
to
you
do
can
that
go ahead.
briefly?
Yeah.
I can speak briefly. The county legislature has authorized the purchase price. With that, the town and the county attorney's office are putting together a contract that sets forth the term. And assuming both the county legislature and the town board can live with that contract, which is in the process of being drafted, there would be a vote. Upon that vote, it would be subject to permissive referendum. If there was a referendum, the referendum would happen at 90 to 105 days following the vote. And if there was no permissive referendum or a successful permissive referendum, the property could be sold in accordance with the contract. So we're still in the county has, again, approved just the price.
Right,
And we are working with the county, but we anticipate some time to get
but
all
it
those
goes to
issues.
the town board vote.
The town board absolutely must vote, and and in addition, the public has a right of permissive referendum.
Right, okay,
So we could vote, but it would be subject to probably everything that's not finalized right now.
right, Right.
There's other things to be discussed before we can vote on it.
right, because like I say, when the county executive speaks on Facebook or anything, it makes it sound like they already bought it. Really, I mean, because he says all the
I
things that he
understand
wants.
that this is a priority for County Executive Newhouse, so we are doing the best we can to
right.
put that together in the best interest of the town
Okay.
and the residents.
Yeah, but I mean, I know the process, but a lot of people don't. And one last question, is John Riley still the superintendent?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes,
Okay, that's it. Thank you.
thank you.
Anything online, Michelle?
I think there's someone else.
Catherine O'Grady? Is this in reference to, okay, flooding, okay.
I'm not accustomed to public speaking, and I don't hear too good, so you guys are going to have to speak louder.
Okay, thank you.
All right. My backyard, I've been living on Trotting Drive for 57 years. Shortly after we moved in, O'Leary's, which was 2 houses up from me, I'm at 31 Trotting, the backyard was coming down and into their house, the water. So we allowed the town to go in and dig a gully past 3 houses and the one next door to me and put a drain in. And I really had no problem with it, but now it's all overgrown.
Okay.
Agnes that lived behind me, and you remember they demolished her house. She planted all those punks or whatever you call them. And that's all contributing to it. It's the great drainage. Nobody ever came to clean it up. Now, I spoke to Keith Meyer, and he said that he looked back and there was nothing in writing. Well, Leo O'Grady, Lord rest him, did not go out and dig that ditch. So the
Yeah,
town,
I'll touch base with Keith and find out
Okay.
what's going on.
and the other thing is stop signs in Surrey Meadows.
Yeah, we're gonna have a public hearing on that, so
Oh,
once we
okay.
open that, we'll be open to discussion on that once.
And
we
the
open
icing on the
public hearing.
cake is, I was in St. Columbus Cemetery. They have one in the middle of the cemetery. I couldn't get over that one. I seen 3 cars there at one time, right? And I know it's not yours. That's Blooming Grove, right?
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Nothing online, Michelle?
No, nothing.
Okay, can I have a resolution to accept the meeting minutes from 6/11/25 and 6/25/25?
Motion. I'll second.
Second. Okay, no questions on that?
Nope.
Okay, very good, and I'm an aye.
Vote. Did everyone vote?
Okay,
Only you voted.
aye. Okay,
Larry,
Aye.
say aye.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a summary of bills. We will, with the town of Chester, will be paying bills in the amount of $248,615.42. That's a new number. It's different than what's on the agenda. It's a new number that Neil had given me.
That's, I was gonna ask.
And I'm going to do reports now. I'll start out with the board members if you'd like. You have anything, Bob?
No, I'm good. I just, I said this weekend is the fireworks, so hopefully everybody gets out. The weather looks like it's going to be okay. It was a little questionable earlier in the week.
Okay, very good. How about you, Larry?
Just a question for Liz, just an update on comprehensive plan.
In your email, should you ask,
Okay,
are both red lines and clean versions of
Oh.
draft documents and bulk tables for internal review. I ask that you review that email, and I would also ask the board this evening to set a work session for the 16th, our normal work session time, so that we can finalize those, so that I can introduce them. So,
okay, great,
um,
fabulous.
Larry, you have some reading to do.
Okay, I'm sure. Thank you very much, Liz.
Okay, so we got to set the public,
You already have set that.
We have that
That's
set.
Okay, we did, okay, yeah.
2
so-
PM on the
It's set
16th.
on a-
so it's just,
Rotating
it's
basis.
as needed
Yes.
basis.
I don't have anything else, Tom.
Okay, thank you, Larry. Okay, for myself, I attended a walkthrough with the county, actually at the Sugarloaf Performing Arts Center on Monday, and I'll be going through again on Friday. They want to review a few more things. They're just getting kind of a plan together for themselves on what they might do in the future there, if something takes place. Also, been having contact with Chris Cox, our water administrator now for Sugarloaf, and the primary well over there that hasn't been used due to discolored water. We're trying to come up with a game plan on exactly what we're going to do with that well. We've had some issues with the discolored water. We've had the camera work done. They were unable to camera the entire main, the entire casing, because it was an old pump stuck in the casing. Some went down. And they were actually out there today, and they pressure tested the line from the well to the plant, and they determined there might be a leak by in the line somewhere. So it might be by the pitless adapter. So they're going to dig that, and maybe that's part of the problem. So we're trying to go through all the parts before we have to look into either re-drilling that well or some other work that's going to be, costly to the residents there. So we're trying to avoid that and come up with an answer ahead of time. Also, I'm not sure if anybody's been around the Village Hall lately, but the Village Hall was remodeled a few weeks ago. It really came out nice. They did a really nice job. And that's it for me. And we have other reports. We have a report from Empress. I won't get too in depth with that, but they continue to work for the, handle cause for the town of Chester. And all of this will be posted on our website after this meeting. They also have a report from the police department. I'll read a little bit of this. We have 6 charged with operating a motor vehicle with a suspended registration or suspended driver's license. 1 charged with criminal contempt of court order in the 2nd degree. 1 charged with endangering the welfare of a child. 1 charged with aggravated D, driving while intoxicated and driving with the BAC greater than 0.08%. 1 charged with dog at large. 2 taken into custody for emergency admissions for the mentally ill. Interesting. Non-criminal activity, there were 31 medical calls, 12 residential, commercial, and automatic fire alarms, 19 reports of suspicious person, vehicle, or activity, 9 domestic disputes, disturbances, or other disputes, 7 motor vehicle crashes with injuries, 8 motor vehicle crashes without injuries, and 1 motor vehicle crash involved with deer. And that's it for the police report. I also have a report from the historian, Clifford Patrick. Dear Supervisor Holdridge and board members, Town of Chester, as a member of the Village of Chester Flag Committee, I participated in the holiday table, the history table at the inaugural Village of Chester Day event, June 21st, 2025. Additionally, I recruited Grant Miller, Fort Montgomery State Historic Site Manager, to speak on archaeology and history of the fort at the September meeting of the Incorporated Chester County Chapter of New York State Archaeological Association in Middletown. There's also quite a few other things on this report, and this will also be located on our website after this meeting. Thank you, Clifford Patrick. Also have a report on mortgage tax receipts for the time span of 6/1/2025 through 6/30/2025. The Town of Chester will be receiving an amount of $40,028.50. Very good on tax for that. Monthly report from the Water Department. The consumption for Walt Lake Estates was $2,702,000. Consumption for Surrey Meadows was $3,077,000. Consumption at Lake Hill Farms was $6,579,000. Sugarloaf was $2,825,000, and Fieldcrest was $535,000. Also have a report from Moodna, Town of Chester Moodna system. The O2 injector broke off and flooded the pump pit at 3A. Rebuilt and replaced injector at 3A and cleaned up after the heavy rains. Pulled pump leg at Lake Region Pump Station. Dug up and installed new pipe through wall of pump station 1353 Kings Highway. Also, all new plumbing and wiring and panel installed. Pump at Lake Region, and ran new power lines. So that project's been completed now down at Walt Lake Estates with the new panel and everything we were waiting for. Fuel and basic maintenance of the portable generators. Backbled King Track to improve gallons per minute. Drained overflows at Surrey and Lake Hill. Installed new contractor and overload at Lake Region. Replaced packing at pumps at King Track. Injector broke at 3A again. Built a new one and installed. Replumbed air relief at 3A. They put degreaser in the Creamery Pond in Lake Hill. There's a couple other emergency things, but this report will also be online. Do anything with that?
Yeah, I'll speak on that if I may,
Okay,
when you're done.
very good. That's part of that.
And animal control. The animal control.
And I think that's going to be it on,
Have animal control.
Yeah, I'm not gonna read that.
Okay.
That's Brandon's thing and the former supervisors. Other than that, I think we are good with reports. If you want to speak on,
Yeah, there's just two announcements I'd like to make. One is with regard to the mass notification system that the board approved at our last meeting.
Yep.
And so tomorrow we will have a kickoff meeting with Civic Plus to start implementing the system. We anticipate it taking about 4 to 6 weeks for us to fully be online, and then we will start recruiting.
that's when everybody can sign up and
Exactly.
for the updates.
It would be within this 4 to 6 week period, so I'm excited, looking forward to getting that going. And I did receive a call from a woman, her name was Mrs. Callanan. She relayed her story. She had an experience with Chester EMS. So she had a medical episode. She had gone over to the urgent care in Chester, but when she arrived there, she found them closed. So not knowing what else to do, she wasn't well at all. She called 911 and Empress was dispatched. She said only within a few minutes, luckily, from here to there, and they were here and they got over to her quickly. And as it turned out, she needed to be transported to a heart hospital, and they were able to take her to Good Sam, which was her preference, and she praised those EMTs, and she wanted to thank them by name, John and Troy from Empress EMS, for their kindness and the good care that they gave her. And when she called, she said she was recuperating at home. So,
Very good.
yep, it was a good,
You should forward that
Good
to Rob,
news.
to Rob and Empress,
I will.
so
Yep,
so they can get the recognition from them too.
absolutely.
Okay, I'd like to make, would anybody like to make a motion to open a public hearing for local law number 7, Surrey Meadows stop signs?
Make the motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, anybody have anything, any input on the introductory local law? Come on up, Bob.
My name is Bob Moran. I live in Surrey Meadows for 50 years. I want to commend the board for taking action to address the speeding issue. I just have an issue myself with the approach that you came out with. I think the stop signs, even though they seem to be a good idea, it causes everybody to stop. There's a lot of senior citizens in Surrey Meadows. We don't speed. We leave on different times. We're not really on a regular schedule. We may be going into the town to get shopping, but a lot of the speeders that I see anyway are in the evening. It's a select number of cars, and they're almost recognizable. But the stop signs themselves, like I said, they make everybody stop.
Yes.
And it's really not, in my view anyway, the best solution. I did bring up an idea that maybe you could purchase a radar detector with a camera associated with it. And I mean, it doesn't have to be every day that you have the radar detector there. You can have it implemented, and if you see somebody speeding, you have the license number, the time and date. You don't have to issue a ticket. You can send a warning letter, that on such and such a date, all of the information, and give them a warning. And on the second offense, they get a ticket, because the person I spoke with said, well, we don't want to start issuing speeding tickets to the town residents, but you don't have to. You can give them a warning the first time, but then the second time, issue a ticket. I don't know how much the unit costs. I don't know. Sometimes I think there was in the paper where another town or municipality got grant money from the state for radar detectors.
Yeah, we've discussed that previously, putting the devices up there that actually give you the speed as you're going through. That's something that's been considered. I'm not sure how we followed up with that, but it's been considered for Sugarloaf and maybe some other areas. So that's a thought. It doesn't really record, it just lets you know what your speed is.
Well,
And that's a good indicator for people to get them to slow down also.
But, like, I know in the city, there's the red light cameras.
Yeah.
If you go through a red light,
Yeah, it's a whole different device though.
you take a picture of.
Yeah.
But it's the same technology, Tom, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
The radar detector can detect the speed, and then that would trigger the camera to take a picture. The
Okay.
same way in red light, if somebody goes to a red light, it triggers the camera to take a picture. It's kind of the same
Something to
technology. I
consider.
don't know what they would cost, but I would suggest that the town maybe could look into that and take away the stop signs so that you stop the speeders and not punish or, have everybody stopping at the stop signs.
I think ultimately the reason the signs went in was to curtail speeding, and I think it's helped for the most part.
Yeah,
I know there's an issue with some of the signs with the placement and
yes,
the
yeah,
visibility of those signs, so that's what's being considered to be removed. And there's
Yes.
other areas where they're being considered to put in, and
Yes.
we appreciate your input on this.
yes. Yeah, and, like people that live in Surrey,
Yeah.
they know the areas where they should slow down. Obviously where roads intersect Surrey or Trotting, where there's side streets coming in, that's a possibility where somebody could be coming out onto the main road, the main thoroughfare.
Yeah.
But you don't need stops, you don't need 3 stop signs at those intersections, in my view.
Yeah.
And that's what is being discussed tonight, but
Yeah.
my contention is that all of the stop signs on, I don't know but they're just punishing everybody. Everybody has to stop. Whereas if you want to stop the speeders, well, then get a radar detector and then you punish them, or at least give them warnings to stop that. And I'm just asking for your consideration.
Thank
And I thank the board again for recognizing that there's an issue and trying to do something about it. That's, I commend you for doing that. It's just that, I think the speed, I've said my piece. Thank
I
you.
appreciate it. Thank you, Bob.
Thank
Thanks, Bob.
Thank
And
you,
it's
Bob.
better than speed bumps,
Absolutely. We're not gonna go there.
Nobody
Not
wants
going there.
speed
No
bumps.
speed bumps.
No speed
Speed
bumps.
bumps, speed humps, we
Bumps
don't
and
want
all.
either.
I don't know. Is anybody else?
Is anybody else interested in speaking on this? Anybody online, Michelle?
No comment.
Okay, can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. At this point, I think I'd like to table this till we have a full board to do a vote on this. So I'm going to put this off till the next meeting. So can I have a motion to table this?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you. Okay, our next public hearing on introductory law number 8, staggered 4-year terms. Can I have a motion to open the public hearing?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Good. Do you want to read any of this, Liz, as far as public hearing goes? Or
I think
Better
I'd like to,
understanding?
I'd like to offer an explanation to the public, and then if any of the public have comment. So under a prior administration, several years ago, the public, through an election, voted for ward systems. The board last year finalized the ward system by the creation of the maps establishing the wards. Once they did that, your boards, all your councilmen and women and supervisors serve 4-year terms and staggered. So 2 are up in one cycle, 2 are up in another cycle. Well, pursuant to town law, once you go to wards, it automatically, everybody's up every 2 years, like similar to Congress, that the whole board is up other than the
That's
supervisor.
something they didn't really realize at the time.
It's part of one of the catches.
Yeah.
So the board's intention through this local law is to go back, essentially, once that happens, which will happen in the 2026 biennial election, that's when it's going to kick in, is so that when that kicks in, that we go back to our current 4-year and staggered terms, so that, again, 2 are up to in one cycle and then 2 are another. To do that, you need to adopt a local law, which you can do. And then that local law is subject to a mandatory referendum. So we're putting this before the public. The board will adopt a local law, and then it will be on the ballot in November of 2024, whether that should kick in.
Or 2025.
I'm
25.
No, it'll be on the, I'm sorry, 2025. Wow, yep, thank you. 2025, I'm losing track of time. My apologies. So for wards 1 and 4, okay, wards 1 and 4 elected in the November 2026 election will have 4-year terms, okay? And wards 2 and 3 become 4-year terms in
28.
28.
for the 28 election and effective January 1, 2029. So wards 2 and 3, next election cycle, those 2 wards will have 2-year terms. 1 and 4 will have 4, and then that creates your stagger.
If it passes.
If it passes. We did adopt this last year, and I think there was a lot on the ballot last year. There was we had 3 or 4 questions on your ballot. You had a pretty heavy ballot. And I think people didn't understand what the goal was. So we're going to give it one more try. So before the board tonight is the public hearing on that and whether they wish to adopt the local law to start that process.
Very good, thank you. I do have one comment that was sent to me from Connie Roach. As I am not feeling well and unable to attend the meeting tonight, I felt it best to email. Regarding the local law 8, the residents of Chester voted on this matter in November. The voters said no. To propose this law again is an insult to the voters.
Bless you.
Bless you. To insinuate that we didn't understand what we were voting for is giving the appearance of bullying by this board. We didn't get the results you wanted last time, so let's keep pushing until you get the results you want. Shame on you, the board. We, the voters, spoke, accepted. Connie Roach. Okay, thank you, Connie, for your comment. Any other comments from the public? Anything online?
Anything online?
Any thoughts from the board?
No.
Okay, could I have,
You have one comment.
Yeah, do you know what the vote was last year?
the vote when this was approved was, I think, it was like 4,000 votes. I think 3,000 people, oh, you're talking about the vote that didn't pass.
I'd have to
Yeah,
pull
not
it from
sure.
the, I can try to pull that.
I'm not sure what I was thinking about when the wards went in. So I'll try to get that for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So at this time, can I have a motion to push this forward?
Yeah.
Close the
Close the
close
Close the public hearing.
Have a motion to close the public
Motion.
hearing, please?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, at this point, could I have a motion to,
I have a resolution. Would you like me to read that in the record?
Okay.
I gotta make sure I pull up the 2025 one. There we go. Resolution adopting a local law amending Chapter 16 of the Code of the Town of Chester entitled Officers and Employees to amend the length of terms of office for the members of the town board and to stagger such terms. Whereas the Town of Chester previously enacted the ward system for the election of town board members, which is to be implemented in the 2026 biennial election. And whereas pursuant to Town Law, Section 85, upon implementation of the ward system, the terms of 4 council members become 2-year terms, with all council members being elected in the same year. And whereas the board desires to provide for 4-year terms to town council members and to stagger such terms so that in 2-year intervals, first 2 town board members' terms will expire and 2 years 2 other town board members will expire. And whereas the length of term for all other elected offices of the town of Chester will remain unaltered by this local law. Whereas the town board introduced introductory local law and I apologize, that's 8 of 2025, on June 11th, 2025. Whereas a duly noticed public hearing was held on July 9th, 2025, and now therefore be it resolved that introductory local law 8 of 2025 is hereby adopted as local law. Linda, I have it. Give me 1 second. This is why I have a spreadsheet. It is local law 9.
9.
Yep.
So the other one would be 8.
No, the other one would be 10. The numbers are in the order that you adopt them. And I apologize for that,
No
so I'm just gonna, that's 9. Be it further resolved that the supervisor and any officer, employee, or consultant as directed by the town supervisor is hereby directed and authorized to communicate the following proposition language to the Orange County Board of Elections for inclusion on the November 2025 election ballot. Proposition: shall the terms of the town council members be increased from 2 years to 4 years effective January 1, 2027 for town council members in Ward 1 and Ward 4 elected in the November 2026 election, and effective January 1, 2029, the term shall be increased to 4 years for town council members in Ward 2 and Ward 3 elected in the November 2028 election. And thereafter, all such 4-year terms shall be staggered so that 2 town council members shall be up for election in the same biennial election. And 2 years later, the other 2 town council members shall be up for election in the biennial election. Upon conferring with the Board of Elections, the above proposition may be modified as determined appropriate, so long as the substance of the proposed language remains the same and carries out the intent of the local law being adopted. The town board hereby directs the town clerk to enter said local law in the minutes of this meeting, and if such local law is approved by the electorate at the November 2025 election, to enter such law in the local law book of the town of Chester and give due notice of adoption of said local law to the Secretary of State of New York, and to take all steps in process to file said local law amendment with the state of New York. This resolution shall be effective immediately, but the local law shall not be given effect unless the proposition is approved by a majority of the voters in the election in November 2025 or on the date of the biennial election, should any rescheduling of the election be required.
Thank you.
And Linda, I'll send you a revised resolution.
Okay, would somebody like to make a motion on local law number 9?
Motion?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We didn't need that on roll call, right, Linda?
No.
Very good, motion is passed. And we need, I guess when the water department got quotes on the trailer they wanted, they may have quoted the wrong size trailer for them, so we need to appropriate another $900 for the trailer that we approved. It was way below the other bids, and even with the 900, it's still below.
What's the total with the 900?
I do not have that number.
Here it is.
I just
Number
need
to-
yeah.
$10,546 is the total with the $900.
And we had gotten other bids.
Yes, it was 3
We don't have
bids.
state procurement, we just have local procurement. I just want to confirm compliance with local procurement.
Could I have a motion to expend that $900 extra on that trailer?
Motion?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Okay, we'll need a resolution to renew the CDPHP and Delta Dental Plan. Has everybody reviewed that?
Did.
We're all good. Could I have a motion to renew that?
Motion?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And there was no change in the price.
Yep, everything was the same, yep. Okay. I'll need a resolution to accept Tracy Shue's resignation from the CCAC. It's a shame to see her go, but she has other things that she has to get done, so could I have a motion to accept that resignation?
Make a motion. I would just like to thank Tracy for being on the CAC. Everything she's involved in, she does a fantastic job. It's, hate to see her go, but I understand why she needs to resign.
Yeah, she always gives 100%.
Yep.
I'll second it. Well, so echo your words, Larry. Couldn't have said it better. She's been a great asset to us.
Yep.
Okay, can I have a vote on that?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Okay. We have another resolution to go. A resolution to approve the July 12th fireworks billboard advertisement that was put up. Can I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. We have another project coming up. We have the Chester Fire District nonprofit basketball field waiver request. I don't see an issue with waiving the fees for this. I think they do it every year.
Yeah.
Nobody has
It's a
an
good
issue.
cause. It's a good cause, so.
You just need the certificate of insurance.
Can I have a motion to approve this? subject
Motion.
To insurance.
And I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. That's subject to receiving insurance. Okay, Brandon's been working on this for quite a while, a resolution requesting the Chester Public Library and the Albert Wisner Public Library to seek a resolution to the double taxation of Chester residents. So he wants to basically send a letter, maybe with my recommendation, to basically send it to both to see if either or would be interested in, working with the community in this to reduce one or the other tax. So any thoughts or?
Yeah, my understanding is that when you get a library card, it's part of the Rampo library system. So I don't think you need to, if someone elected to pay the Chester library tax, they should still be able to go to the Warwick or vice versa. That's my understanding.
I know there's people that are still in favor of it to have access to both, but.
But you will, if you have a library card or
Would
belong to the Rampo system, you should be able to go to any library in that system.
The problem is one is a town library and one is a school
Right.
district library.
That's right,
Yeah.
correct.
There are actually 4 different types of libraries in the state of New York, so
Yes.
So, I mean, it's, I don't know if anything will come of it, but it's just us sending something then with
You
the
certainly-
request, and it can't hurt to send that request.
It's a resolution. Did you want to read it? It's on scrapbook.
Okay, the title of this is a resolution to request the Albert Wisner Public Library and the Chester Public Library to seek a solution to the double taxation of Chester residents. At a meeting of the town of Chester, Orange County, New York, held at Town Hall, 1786 Kings Highway, Chester, New York, on the 9th of July, 2025 at 6:45 PM prevailing time. The meeting was called to order by Deputy Supervisor Becker, and upon roll call being called, the following were present. The following resolution was offered by Deputy Supervisor Becker, who moved its adoption, seconded by, okay, this is where it's going, and it's whereas the town of Chester, the town board of the town of Chester has received complaints from its residents in the Warwick Chester School District over multiple years about the double taxation they are subject to overlapping library districts. And whereas the town board of the town of Chester has sought to end this injustice multiple times through advocation of a study to be conducted at the state level and never comes to pass. And whereas the New York State Librarian's Office had indicated that the only other way this issue resolves is if one of the existing tax districts petitions the state to become a special district that does not include the residents that are currently in the overlapped areas. And whereas the residents of the town of Chester in the Warwick School District should not be taxed by 2 separate library districts if possible. Now therefore be it resolved that the town of Chester, the town board of the town of Chester requests that the Albert Wisner Library and the Chester Public Library communicate on how to end this double taxation of the Chester residents in the Warwick School District. Be it further resolved that the town of Chester, the town clerk of the town of Chester sends a certified copy of this resolution to the Albert Wisner Public Library and the Chester Public Library and the Ramapo Casco Library System and the New York State Librarian Lauren Moore. So that is the resolution. We good?
You offered.
You offered
Up
it.
for a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion. Second.
Blair, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so hopefully something can happen with that. Have an education request from Donna Thom to attend the New York State Controller's Accounting School webinar for $85. Could I have a motion? to
Make the
approve?
motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Okay, I need a resolution to approve the submission of tax receiver bond to the Orange County and authorize the town supervisor and town board and the town clerk to sign.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any new business by the board?
No.
Okay, I just have a couple things here. We have an agreement that's been forwarded to us by the Chester Fire District. Do I need to read that, Liz?
Nope.
And what this is going to allow is for myself or Brandon to sign this motion to allow us to use the property of the fire department for the fireworks this weekend. So we have to get this in place, subject to insurance again. And that's being worked on.
And I took a look at it. It's acceptable.
Yep, except it's already been signed by the fire department. So I need a motion for myself or Brandon to sign this agreement.
Motion.
I'll second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. So I will sign that after, so it's done.
The one that I.
Yeah, the one that you have, yep, I have that up here. I'll give that back to you for now until I'm ready to sign it, so I don't forget. And also I have an email that came from Michelle, and it was, I would like to have the following approved as leads pending background check and counselors for the film and theater camp that needs to be done, because this needs to be done before our next
Yeah.
meeting. It would be for Chuck Ragsdale and Katie Withersford, directors. Their pay would be $1,250 per week. Matthew Mortician, director, for $1,250 a week. Emily Booling, probably heard that name, but accompanying music, $500 a week. Sadie Wayer, company, lead choreography, $500 a week. So that we need to make
Have
them.
the student
And then you have
counselors,
the counselors.
student
Okay.
counselors below.
And we have four student counselors, Madison, Ashlyn, Emerson, and Kat. Student counselors, they will all be paid $15.50 per hour. Could I have a motion to move this forward?
Motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Pending background checks.
pending the background checks, thank you. And also, we just received today a service agreement. This is actually for the Sugarloaf Performing Arts Center. I guess they have an issue with bees in the area. Originally, we had thought it was for the office here, but it's for the Sugarloaf Performing Arts Center.
Uh-huh.
Get to the cost,
It's right on that second.
second page.
Yeah. The very bottom.
Okay, the total is $308.16. That's for them to come out and take care of the issue.
Well, actually, they added tax, which we don't pay. So
Okay,
it should
yeah,
be
they do have-
285.
Okay, we're going to move that to 285. They did charge us tax, which they should not. So the cost of this is $285. Could I have a motion from somebody to
Motion.
approve this?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so that's passed. Any other public comment tonight?
Michelle.
Okay,
I have Edward Mullins. It's interesting to hear town board members chuckle every time speed bumps are mentioned. We will be looking forward to hearing them. We will be looking forward to the hearing when the town board realizes that blunder, as they did with the foolhardy placement of stop signs in Surrey Meadows. I am glad you all find humor in wasting resources. Janet McElroy, Warwick doesn't allow people who don't have a library card to participate in activities. Check the website. Edward Mullins, Councilman Deisinger is misinformed. Town of Chester taxpayers who live in the Warwick Valley School District pay library taxes to the town of Chester taxes and Warwick library taxes to their school taxes. More lip service about the decades-old problem arises only during campaign season. Your New York State Senator made it clear at the public hearing, at the public meeting, that there is no political will to correct this issue, but it sure does get taxpayer hopes up when the candidates promise to address. And Colleen Collins asked what kind of bees they are.
I do not know what kind of bees they are, but thank you for the comments. Anything else? That's it? Anything from the public? Okay, can I have a motion to close the meeting?
Motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everybody.